The left is panicking right now because Salta in Argentina just held their elections, and Javier Milei, my man, just won massive. His party won massive, even bigger than in 2023, which obviously everybody heard about because Javier Milei was one of the first truly libertarian candidates to win in more or less a landslide election in modern history. I mean, it's really never been done. As I'm going to show you guys, Javier Milei just kind of lays it out for Republicans in America, what you should do if you want to win more elections, which is kind of what we're going to talk about. So here are the results first I want to show you. There are obviously a lot of elections. These are some of the most core ones. And what you see at the top here is this is Javier Milei's party. It's called La Libertad Avanza, which basically means liberty advances. And what you see is they have a lot of parties in this, like most countries do, unlike the United States. And they won with 34%. Okay, pretty good. All of the candidates below them, by the way, are conservative parties as well. The one with 4.75% at the bottom is their like socialist party, and it's dead in the water. And that's because of Javier Milei. You can see this other one, even bigger win, 45.27%. No one was even close to them. Same party as Javier Milei. So those are just some of the important races that are happening in Argentina. However, this is my understanding, and obviously there was a lot of elections, but my understanding is right now, every single state and local election that was held yesterday pushed more towards Javier Milei's party. So either they won more, they never lost any of their seats, they kept winning more, or even the ones they already held, they had more, like a higher percentage of the votes than before, which is not unlike what we saw with every single state in America in 2024, going more towards Donald Trump than in 2020. What that means to me is Javier Milei on paper was pretty good. People liked him, obviously. He had a great campaign. He won. A lot of the people in his party won. However, when Javier Milei was put into practice, people loved him even more. So if you're looking at this from the perspective of Republicans in America, you should automatically be thinking, and if you're not thinking this, you're crazy and you shouldn't be a Republican. You should automatically be thinking, what has Javier Milei done and how can we implement it here in the United States? Because not only is it a blessing to your citizens, clearly the lives, and we'll talk about some of his policies right here because it's astounding. It blesses the lives of the Argentinians, and here in the United States, it would bless the lives of us, the United States citizens. However, it's also politically advantageous. Like, you're going to keep winning elections. So the incentives are all there for Republicans. Here are the main things that Javier Milei did while he was in office. This is according to the AP and a few other news organizations. He did economic reforms, austerity measures. Again, this is the words of the AP. Milei enacted significant spending cuts, including slashing energy and transportation subsidies. So, and also freezing crappy public infrastructure projects, basically getting rid of all the stupid kind of things that Biden would have done. The Inflation Reduction Act, all that infrastructure crap that was just subsidies that didn't need to happen. Also subsidies to companies that just frankly don't need subsidies. That's the first thing he did. Inflation reduction. These numbers are crazy. He dropped inflation from a peak of 300% to 55%, which obviously 300% is like mind-boggling because 9% in America was horrible. But to go down from 300 to 55 is insane. And then, of course, these two big things that were in the news is that in November, the monthly inflation reached a low of 2.2%, which is actually like a very healthy inflation rate. And the other big thing that was in the news, which is that for the first time in over a century, Argentina achieved a budget surplus, which is incredible. And every single economist has attributed that to Milei's fiscal policies. Other things Milei has done, again, these don't sound that much unlike Donald Trump, we'll talk about where they break in a second, is massive deregulation from Milei. Trump has talked about that. And then tax overhaul. Milei basically abolished the IRS for Argentina. Fantastic. We still need to do that. I don't know why it hasn't happened. And then, of course, Milei strengthened ties with the U.S., put more opposition into horrible places in South America, like the Maduro regime in Venezuela, and strengthened ties with trading partners like the U.S. and other Western allies. It's not that hard, guys. That's what Milei did. What Milei did was he deregulated, he killed the bureaucracy, he cut spending, he lowered taxes, and he did more world trade. It's that simple. And he took a dying economy, like completely dead in the water, to honestly pretty solid. And imagine if America would just do the same thing, it would explode. So Trump was doing all of these things. Almost all of these things sound like Donald Trump. It certainly sounds like Donald Trump term one. And he had great approval rating when that was happening, just like Javier Milei. But then Donald Trump abandoned one of them. And I think the election in Argentina is a warning for Republicans. The thing that Donald Trump abandoned was world trade. And that's not something Javier Milei has done. The tariff nonsense is ultimately what has killed his approval rating. His approval rating is still way above Joe Biden. So I'm not saying Donald Trump is way less popular than Democrats right now. He's way more popular, no question. However, his approval rating has gone way down, and it happened after the tariffs. And it will have a negative correlation. This is my prediction. I think it's pretty well founded if you look at the numbers and what happened in Argentina. Is it's going to have a negative correlation with the Republicans' election success, just like it did with Javier Milei and La Libertad Avanza. Trump obviously is getting that hint, though. Trump is very pragmatic. And that's why, this is the big news that came in today. Just today, Trump announced that the China tariffs would have a 90-day reprieve and go from 145% to 30%, which is huge. That's massive. And that is the right move. It's huge. I'm all for getting after China. I don't like China. I think we should strengthen our trade partners with the Western allies, as well as some allies in the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, for example. But I want to get off of China. However, I talked about it on the shows in the past. Screwing every small business owner over that works with China immediately is a mistake. It's a huge mistake. You want to tell the business owners that they need to relocate, that's fine, but you need to give them time to do that. And putting 145% tariff on China immediately does not give them any time to do that, and they'll shut their doors immediately. You got to let them relocate, maybe to Vietnam, India, something a little bit more friendly. America, for sure, if it's financially feasible. In a lot of cases, it's not. A lot of things don't even exist in the United States. If they can do that, then even better. And then after that, you can levy very harsh tariffs on China. No problem with that. One of the main goals, though, and this is something that's really important, I think Donald Trump is starting to get the hint of this. The main goals of the tariffs is to bring jobs back to the United States, right? And the problem is more than half of the workers in the country work for small businesses. That's according to the IRS. And small businesses, I think, include anything up to 500 employees. So they're not necessarily tiny, but more than half of the workers in the country work for that. Most of these small businesses source their product from China. And so what we will see if we had kept the 145% tariffs is mass layoffs in the United States. Trump knew that would have been a huge mistake. And that was reversed because of the pushback. I think Trump is a very reactive guy, which is something I really like about it, is he wants to win. And he sees Javier Milei, who's a free market libertarian, and Javier Milei is winning. He wants that. He sees some of his supporters mad at him because of the tariffs, because they're nervous about what it will do to their small business if they're business owners, or if they're workers, they're nervous about what it will do for their job. And he listens to them. That's why I like him. If Republicans double down on the Javier Milei stuff, they're going to easily retain the House in 2026. They may extend their lead. They may extend their lead in the Senate as well. However, if they double down on the Bernie Sanders economics that Trump has kind of been talking about and playing with over the last 2 months, they're going to get totally screwed. Hey guys, I'm excited to announce that I'm rolling out my new Substack. One of my favorite things about this show is interacting with you guys, and so Substack makes it a lot easier to bounce political ideas off each other, do live chats, as well as do Q&As, and overall just interact. My Substack also includes my written newsletter, so you can stay up to date on the most recent news, as well as my analysis. It is completely free to join and requires no app download, so go check it out right now. The link to join is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Everybody, please like the video and subscribe to my channel so other great patriots like yourself can see it, and you can check out another video right here.